Okay, so you make an offer, someone accepts. Seems pretty simple, right? But what if the person who says yes isn't the person you actually made the offer to? It kind of throws a wrench in the whole thing, and it gets to a really fundamental question in any agreement. Who really has the power to accept a deal? Let's just boil it down to this. Say you make an offer to a friend, someone you know and trust. Can a complete stranger just swoop in, say, I accept, and lock you into a binding contract? It sounds off, for sure, but this very question is at the core of how contracts actually work. Let's get practical. Imagine you text your neighbor, Dave. You trust Dave, you know his work is good, and you offer him some cash to fix that broken fence in your backyard. Simple. The next day you come home and hey, the fence is fixed. But it wasn't Dave. Some random contractor you've never seen before did the job and now he's standing there with his hand out wanting to be paid. Are you on the hook for that money? It just doesn't feel right, does it? Well, funny enough, the answer to this modern problem comes from a really old case of mistaken identity. To figure out our fence problem, we actually have to jump in a time machine and go all the way back to 1857 to a classic business mix-up known as Bolton versus Jones. And this isn't just some dusty old story. This is the very case that sets the rule for our fence situation and for countless deals that are made every single day. Okay, so here's how the whole mess started. On one side, we've got Jones, the buyer. He sends a written order for some goods to a guy named Brocklehurst, someone he'd done business with for a while. Now here's the twist. On the very same day that order arrived, Brocklehurst sold his entire business to a new guy, Bolton. So Bolton walks in, sees this order from Jones sitting on the desk, fills it, and sends the goods off without ever letting Jones know that the business had a new owner. So Jones gets the delivery, everything looks fine, until the invoice shows up. And it's from Bolton, a total stranger. Jones refused to pay. He said, hey, my deal was with Brocklehurst, and he had a really good reason for it, too. Turns out he had a pre-existing debt with Brocklehurst, and he was planning to use this order to help settle his account. So the whole thing landed in court with one big question. Did Jones have to pay Bolton for goods he never intended to buy from him in the first place? And this is where things get really interesting. The court's decision here wasn't just about this one shipment of goods. It was about to establish a super powerful and long-lasting rule about what an offer even is. But before we get to the big reveal, we need to know one key term, the offeree. It sounds a little legalese, but the idea is incredibly simple. The offeree is just the specific person or company that an offer is made to. So if I offer to sell my car to you, then you are the offeree. That's it. Not your friend, not your brother, just you. And here it is. The court's ruling, straight from the case itself, was crystal clear. An offer made to a specific party cannot be accepted by someone else. Plain and simple. The power to say yes belongs only to the offeree. So here's the logic, and it's actually beautiful in its simplicity. For a contract to exist, you need a perfect match, a true meeting of the minds. Jones's offer was made to one person, and one person only, Brocklehurst. Bolton, who was a complete stranger to this deal, tried to jump in and accept it himself. And the court basically said, nope, you can't do that. Since Bolton wasn't the intended offeree, his so-called acceptance was worth nothing. No contract was ever formed, which means Jones didn't have to pay a dime. Okay, so a business dispute from the 1850s. What does that have to do with you? Why does this still matter today? Well, let's bring this principle right back into our world and right back to that problem with your neighbor's fence. This whole idea really protects a fundamental right we all have when we make a deal. First, it recognizes that an offer is personal. You direct it at a specific person for a reason, right? Maybe it's trust or their reputation or you've worked with them before. Second, you have the right to choose exactly who you do business with. And third, and this is the big one, only that specific person can accept your offer. Nobody else can just hijack it and force you into a contract you never wanted. Which brings us full circle. So, can a stranger accept an offer you made to a friend? What about that random contractor who fixed your fence instead of your neighbor Dave? Thanks to Bolton and Jones, the answer is a clear, confident no. You don't have to pay him. Your offer was for Dave, and Dave was the only one on the planet who had the power to accept it. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, first, an offer is not an open invitation to the world. And second, the who is just as important as the what. The identity of the person you're dealing with is a core part of the agreement itself. And this role is what protects you from being pushed into contracts with people you never, ever chose to work with. This all makes perfect sense for one-on-one deals, right?
But it does leave us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on. Are there offers out there that are made to the whole world, where literally anyone can stand up and accept? Something to think about. And we'll dive into that next time.